about to enter 2021. We are going to leave all that negative energy in 2020. I'm like really silly. Alright guys, my name is Kristen and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am currently on winter break right now, about to go into my 4th and final semester, which I am super excited about. And I really just wanted to sit down today and have a conversation with you about which nursing student you should not be in nursing school and which students to avoid, okay? So if you're interested in this subject, just go ahead and keep watching. I do just want to say that I do have some friends who are of these personality types, so don't think that I stay away from these people all in all. That's not the case. I know that we are all different and I'm not going to have the same personality as the next person, and sometimes opposites really get along very well. I personally just stay away from these individuals whenever it comes to studying for nursing school, and especially like the week before an exam and even a couple days after the exam. I personally stay away from these people. It is just what works best for me, so I figured maybe I will let you know, and then you tell me if this advice is helpful to you or not. Alright, going straight into the personalities. The first personality is, of course, the know-it-all. I'm just throwing it out there. You are never going to know it all, ever. No matter what the topic is, no matter what the subject is, there's just too many unknown factors in life that we just do not know about. When it comes to nursing school, it's okay if you don't know it all. However, I've noticed from personal experience that these individuals always raise their hand, they don't let others answer questions, they really don't allow time for others to ask questions, and sometimes it can be very difficult to have to go to office hours to ask questions. There are probably people in your class who have the same questions you do, so it's very imperative that you ask those questions in class so others can get their questions answered too. But sometimes those individuals don't really understand that there needs to be time for other students as well. And I'm just gonna say this, sometimes those personality types can actually have a bad rep with professors and their name ends up going around the school because, let's be honest, professors talk. I know a lot of my professors back in undergrad would get to know some students very well, and then they would have a reputation based on their attitude or based off their personality. So just know that the professors may know who you are before you go into the next class. So you really want to make sure that you don't have that know-it-all kind of personality. As a nurse, it is so important to have a humble and compassionate and just relatable personality. When I talk about all these personality types, kind of relate it back to, I personally would not want that person as my nurse, because I would rather have somebody who is more compassionate, who's gonna listen to me and really understand where I'm coming from, versus somebody who just thinks they know it all and isn't willing to hear like my side of the story. The next personality type might be a touchy one, but I'm gonna be real honest with you, is the anxious personality. Now, I do struggle with test anxiety, so I do know what it's like to have anxious tendencies. So that is why I tend to avoid these individuals, especially before an exam. I have learned to coach myself through my exams and to just have a very positive mindset. Through years of practice, I've been able to really just change my mindset and definitely be more positive than I was in the past. I try to focus on making sure that I show myself self-love, compassion, because if I can show it to other people by giving them patience and letting them know that everything's gonna be okay, then why can't I show that to myself? It's taken me years to figure out, but I finally found a good happy medium, especially when it comes to nursing school exams. So instead of telling myself, oh, you're never gonna understand this information, or oh, you're never gonna get it, you're not gonna learn it before the exam, you're gonna fail this exam, I'll literally just tell myself, hey, you may not know it today, but you're gonna get it by the end of the week. Or, you know what, let's sit down right now so we can start learning this and let's get into the groove. Or I'll be like, you know what, you're gonna ace this exam. Even if I don't feel super confident about it, I hype myself up, so when I get into that exam, I don't second guess my answer choices. Unfortunately, those anxious personality types, at least for me, I can definitely feel the energy that you are putting out into the world. So if I feel that you're anxious before a nursing school exam, I will walk away, because I do not want to feel that same anxious feeling you are feeling before an exam. I know that I try to go into these exams as confident as I can, and I'm going to stick to it all the way through the end of the NCLEX. Of course, show these individuals compassion, be their friends, be loving to them. Definitely try to make them feel like they fit in. I would never say don't ever hang out with somebody who has an anxious personality, because I struggle with test anxiety myself. But I know for me, if I were to study with these individuals, it does have to be at the beginning of learning new material versus like more towards the exam, because I really don't want to go into an exam feeling super anxious. And on that note, I really just want to say, do not talk to those students who after an exam kind of clump and gather in a group towards the door, who talk about the test questions and answers. For me, it's not so much, I mean, yes, it is test integrity. You want to make sure that you're not talking about the exam, but for me, it's more so they make me anxious. Normally, when I come out of nursing school exams, I feel pretty confident and, you know, I'm not going to know everything on that exam, but for the most part, I know that I did well. I know that I at least passed the exam. Sometimes these group of students sit there and they chit chat about every single test question and answer, and they could say, hey, what did you get for this? Then they'll tell you, and then you'll get something completely different. And then you go home and you're telling yourself, wow, maybe I failed because they put something different than me and they had a really good point and explanation as why they chose that answer. Don't do it. Do not do it, because I've had students who have told me that. Then I went back over the exam and realized that I got the question and answer right. And all in all, I went home and I stressed about a test that I actually did really well on and that I actually knew the information. But instead I decided to go home and sit there for hours and think about, wow, I should have chose that instead of this. Oh no, I shouldn't have chose that answer choice. You know what? Go home right after an exam, go eat with friends, don't talk about the exam, put some headphones on, immediately walk out of that exam room and just forget about that exam until you have the opportunity to sit down in class with your professor to go over that test. That is such a big tip that has really helped me feel so less anxious about nursing school exams, that if there's anything that you've learned from this video, just don't talk about test question and answers until you get your hands on that exam. I'm not gonna lie, this next personality I actually tend to just avoid all in all are the Debbie Downers and negative Nancys. I am not a person who likes to surround myself with negative individuals. And that is just because there is always light at the end of the tunnel, y'all. No matter the difficulties that we are going through, everybody struggles with difficulties and obstacles that we need to overcome. But some people can just not see the light at the end of the tunnel. And my personal opinion is I just personally don't understand how they feel, what they are going through. When I've had these kinds of friends, they're very draining. They drain your energy, they bring you down to their wavelength. So I really just love to surround myself with individuals who have positive personalities and people who encourage each other. I've noticed, and I've had experienced this with several individuals, where I'll be studying for an exam, and if I'm in a study group and somebody will say, hey, I don't really understand this topic, and I'll be like, okay, well, do you want me to try to explain to you how I best understand it? Then I'll go through, explain it, and other people within the study group might say something like, why are you explaining it that way? That's so stupid, I don't get it. Well, that's definitely not the nicest thing to say, and I've definitely had people tell me that in the past. I learn a little bit differently than most people. I come up with crazy mnemonics. I come up with easier ways to understand concepts and just like individual topics. So whatever works for you is what works best for you. And I always tell people, try not to criticize each other when it comes to how you learn best, because not everyone's gonna learn the same way. And it's the same thing when people have told me that in the past, and especially in nursing school, it's almost made me feel like, wow, like what am I doing wrong that maybe I'm not quite understanding the topic myself, when in actuality, I do know the topic and that's just what works best for me. So I've personally eliminated those people in my life pretty much at the beginning of the semester when we went online, and I really just don't personally like to be around those people. I'm just not a person who likes to bring others down, and I do know that whatever you put out into the universe comes right back to you. And the last personality type, which may be a little bit more difficult to avoid in nursing school if you have group projects, but that is the lazy individual. Now, when it comes to nursing school, you know that I am very motivated to get good grades. I am motivated to learn this material, to be able to be a competent nurse, to be able to be a nurse who can function individually, who doesn't need to ask questions 24/7 because I didn't try the first time around. Now, I have been put with people in groups where they didn't put 100% effort, and you know what? That's just how group projects are. But when it comes to studying, I've noticed that studying with these individuals, we will get distracted very easily in study groups. then I'll realize that the whole day was a waste for studying. So personally, I don't study with these individuals just because I am very motivated, and like I said, I am definitely an individual, which whatever emotion you put out, I tend to absorb. So I definitely try to be around people who are more motivated because I want to be taken care of by a nurse who is motivated and not somebody who is lazy. Now, I get there are going to be points in our life where we are going to be a little bit unmotivated. We are going to have days where you need to take care of yourself and not do anything. If you are feeling lazy, don't do anything that day. Definitely take a day off. But I'm just talking about the student who never studies or never puts in the time and effort into wanting to better themselves as a nurse, because those are the individuals who unfortunately may not pass exams. Those are also the individuals who may not be the best of nurses just because they aren't putting in their energy to be the best that they can be. And once again, what are we saying for 2021? We are only surrounding ourselves with positivity and getting rid of that negativity. All right, y'all, so that is all that I have for you in today's video. Of course, I am going to be doing a new series on my clinical experiences in every single clinical that I've been in. So far, that's been med-surg, mental health, OB, peds, and community. So if you have a video that you'd like to see first, just let me know down in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video. And of course, when I end, I always want to say good luck to you on your nursing journey.